started early. The meeting of the Shreveport City Council has now been called to order. Councilman Fleury will give us the invocation, and Councilman Epperson will lead us in pledge of allegiance.
Let us pray. Gracious, kind, Heavenly Father, we come to you today with thankful hearts. We pray, O God, for our mayor, the administration, and all the workers for the city that are out in this heat working. We pray for your protection over them. I pray for this council, God, that we seek today wisdom and knowledge. And, oh God, give us grace, that unmerited favor that we do need. So unworthy sometimes to receive it, but thank you, God. Now I pray forgiveness of my sins, and go and guide us, and may this be a meeting that's very productive. It is in Christ's holy name I pray. Amen.
Amen. All right. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Councilman Bradford. Present. Councilman Epperson.
Here.
Councilman Jenkins.
Present.
Councilman Corbin.
Present.
Councilman Floyd.
Present.
Councilwoman Leach. And Councilman Logan.
Here. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
There's a motion, Mr. Chairman.
We get a second?
Yes.
And moved by Councilman Corbin and second by the Vice Chair to approve the minutes of the administrative conference on Monday, July 9th. Please vote.
Yes.
All four of them, right?
Yeah, my motion
What
was
do we-
to approve all four minutes.
July 9th, June 26th, July 9th, and July 13th. That's right. Motion carries with 6 and 1 absent. Does any council member have any awards or recognition, distinguished guests that they'd like to recognize at this time? Seeing none. Mayor Tyler, do you have any awards, recognitions, or announcements you'd like to make at this time?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, thank you so much. At this time, we do have a special guest that has come this afternoon, Ms. Leslie Quinn, who is one of our state assistants for Congressman Mike Johnson. Ms. Quinn will present to the city of Shreveport an award for Shreveport being named a tree city. According to, I think, Ms. Quinn, Shreveport is one of the cities in the nation to receive this recognition by the National Arbor Society. So at this time, Mr. Chairman, will you join me at the podium?
In his position on the Judiciary Committee in Congress, he, of course, is a very big supporter of natural resources, and this is a great way to recognize those other organizations that are doing the same thing. But may I read a letter from him? It's very brief. Congratulations. I'm pleased to hear that the city of Shreveport...
Yeah, can you come to the mic so we can hear you? Thank you.
Dear Mayor Tyler, council members, and distinguished guests, congratulations. I am pleased to hear that the city of Shreveport, under the leadership of Mayor Ollie Tyler, has been recognized as a Tree City USA community by the Arbor Day Foundation. Each year, the Arbor Day Foundation, in cooperation with the National Association of State Foresters and the United States Department of Agriculture Forest Service Urban and Community Forestry Program, recognizes communities around the country that have met 4 core standards for tree care during the year. Shreveport is one of only 14 communities in the state of Louisiana and the only community in the 4th Congressional District to receive this recognition. The Forest Service plays a critical role in providing resources to states and key national partner organizations such as the Arbor Day Foundation to provide a framework for delivering technical and financial resources. By supporting key research on the benefits of trees, the Forest Service, along with local and state partners, is helping local communities understand the value of healthy forests that improve air and water quality, as well as improving the quality of life in towns and cities across the United States. Again, congratulations and thank you for your efforts in making Shreveport a Tree City USA community. Sincerely, Mike Johnson, Member of Congress. Thank you. have a certificate of congressional recognition from Congressman Mike Johnson presented to Mayor Ollie Tyler in honor of the City of Shreveport recognition of the Tree City USA Community for 2017.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Get in the center, in the middle there, where it's going. Yeah.
All right.
Amen. Okay.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank Congressman Johnson.
I will. Here's the letter. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Chair and members of the council, let me first thank Congressman Johnson publicly. Ms. Quinn, will you please let him know that we so appreciate the recognition. We had a lot of partners to work with us. Of course, we do nothing alone. We're trying to unite people around a vision to help make sure that Shreveport is thriving. And so this recognition comes today from the Arbor Society, but by way of Congressman Johnson. Thank you so much. We have some announcements, if it's okay. Today we have a special presentation to show our appreciation for some police officers who went above the call of duty, as so many of them do each day, to save the life of someone involved in a horrific multiple vehicle accident that left 2 people dead and one of our own officers injured. I'd like to have Chief Crump come at this time to make the presentation, or whomever he designates.
To the mayor, council, and all assembled, we thank you so much for allowing us to be here and allowing us this time. I want to read this incident and then ask that the video be showed, and then we recognize the officers involved for what they did in disregarding their safety and welfare, trying to do what they took an oath when they first became law enforcement officers to serve and protect this city at whatever cost, and the citizens involved. But I had no idea, actually, the night that this took place. I had absolutely no idea what was going on. We had just worked tirelessly trying to recover a juvenile that had been kidnapped and was found down in Rapides Parish. And after we got all that settled and got family members under control and the youth services investigators, matter of fact, of which Detective Stewart was one on that call, after we got all that done and I was headed home, this call come out over the radio, and it sounds like an officer is struggling for his life. That's how it sounded to me on the radio. And headquarters began to ask for their location. Other officers began to ask for their location. And the officer would come on the radio, and it would sound as though he was in a for real struggle. I had no idea what the scene was. And so I was around East Preston and East Kings Highway when the call first went out. And I started to try to make my way to where this officer was. And when I made it there, along with all the other officers that were on scene, what I saw after 26 years of service really got my attention, because it was a scene that nobody wants to see. And I began to try to ask if everybody was all right, if officers were all right. And it was just a chaotic scene, and officers were performing their duties. And I had no idea what all of that entailed. But one of the sergeants wrote this, and it would be something that would be read at our award ceremony for those that would be receiving a life-saving award. And so Sergeant Mike Jones, who is not here with us, he may try to get here, but he's testifying in court at this moment. But he wrote this to his assistant chief. And it says on July 12, 2018, at about 23:30 hours, Detective Rodney Stewart was on his way home from a call-out. Unknown to him as he traveled southbound on I-49, a vehicle was northbound on the wrong side of the interstate. The vehicle struck a truck which was then hit by Detective Stewart. Detective Stewart, who suffered a concussion, immediately began calling for help via his radio. Detective Stewart advised dispatch he needed help several times on the radio and was able to give a partial indication of his location. Officers had just completed roll call and were leaving the station, so they expedited to his location to render assistance. It was unknown to officers what had occurred until they arrived on scene. Upon arrival, officers located the truck turned over on the passenger side. The truck was on fire and the driver was trapped inside. Sergeant Dan Sawyer, Corporal Hodges, Corporal W. Alexander, Officer Favis, Officer Francis, Officer Booz, Officer R. Lewis, and Detective Rodney Stewart worked as a team to flip the truck upright even though it was on fire. The truck became engulfed with flames, but officers pressed forward to save the male who was unconscious. Officers attempted to pull the male from the vehicle, but his right leg was stuck due to the severe impact because, the impact from the accident. Officers struggled to remove the male. The flames in the cab became more intense. Officers continued to struggle to save the male until his foot was finally freed. The male was pulled from the vehicle and away from the engulfed vehicle. The Shreveport Fire Department was pulling up on scene and was able to render aid. The male was transported to University Health with severe injuries but alive. The male is alive due to the ability of Detective Stewart to call for assistance. This saved valuable time in getting help to the scene. If he had not called for help, the male from the truck would not have survived due to his vehicle becoming engulfed in flames. Once officers arrived, had it not been for their quick thinking and teamwork, the male driver would have burned up in the vehicle. Officers put their own lives in danger repeatedly to help pull the driver to safety. While officers were pulling the male from the vehicle, Officer Leanne Hodges was attempting to render aid to the females in the initial vehicle. She, along with off-duty Shreveport firemen, did contact the female passenger. She was found to have a pulse. She was secured and later removed from the vehicle to be transported. Officer L. Hodges did comfort and render aid to the passenger who was transported to University Health. Upon arrival to the hospital, she succumbed to her injuries and passed away. Officer L. Hodges did go above and beyond the normal call of duty to comfort and assist in rendering aid to the passenger. The heroism of the officers involved was caught on car cameras and the K9 body camera of Sergeant Sawyer. These heroic actions need to be recognized, for officers not only perform beyond the call of duty under pressure, but without hesitation or concern for their own safety. The officers embody the definition of a hero by the courage they displayed in a moment of life and death. I will ask those officers now that were involved to come down and stand with us. And what I read to you, I guarantee you, I haven't seen it yet, so it'll be my first time seeing it with you. The video that we will play will make this scene complete, and I think you would agree with me that even trying to visualize what I just read did not do justice to the scene that they arrived upon. Thank you.
Person on 32 slash I need help. I-49 northbound.
What's going on?
Oh, shit.
West 1033, 2332.
Send me some units, please. Dispatch Road Smoky.
You got I-49 north and where?
49, just 3/4 mile from the Piermont exit.
Okay, what's going on?
Get fire started towards it. Hey, 1018 Fire Department, we got a rollover, one vehicle on fire.
No. Hey, we need somebody, we need Smokey 1018. This guy is trapped in this vehicle, it's burning. Hey man, can you hear me? We can't roll it over. Can we? It's gonna blow up if we do. There he is, right there. Are you all right, man? Somebody secure him. Make sure he's okay. Go ahead and hold on to him. Dispatch, Smokey 1018.
One of them was traveling the wrong way.
Look, he's right there, dude. But dude, get away from that. If that blows, you're right on top of it.
We got E7. Where are y'all? I-49.
You think we can push up and get him out? God, it's gonna blow up though, man. Where's the fuel tank? But hey, the guy's right there though.
Hey, they should melt. It shouldn't blow.
Hold on, dude. Hold on. Can anybody grab him? Get him out.
Grab this guy.
Is anybody working on it?
He is. One person is. Tip it all the way.
Go, go, go.
Tip it all the way. It's going over. It's going over.
Get him out, quick.
Hold on.
Let's go.
Tell him we got him partially out, but his legs are trapped.
Everybody got a knife? Need a knife?
Y'all clear the interstate. Get the fire His legs trapped in the dash.
Oh, there he is. Good, good, good. Go, 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 go. Get back. Everybody He's out, he's out, he's out, he's out. Get back. Hey, we need the ambulance right here. We need the ambulance right here. Okay, we got.
Officer Darrell Davis.
Chairman.
Corporal Christopher Hodges. Sergeant Daniel Sawyer. Corporal Rodney Stewart. Corporal Jesse Alexander. Officer Jason Booz. Officer David Francis. Officer Roderick Lewis. Leanne Hodge.
Thank you, officer. Is that it? Thank you, sir. We appreciate it.
Again, we say thank you to each and every one of you, and again for what you do as city administrators and a part of the governmental body that has enabled us to do what we are doing. So thank you so very much, and God bless you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, I too would like to just publicly say thank you so much to SPD for all that they do every day, putting their lives on the line to try to keep us safe. On this past Saturday, we opened cooling stations around the city to help our citizens combat the extreme heat we've been experiencing, and I'd like to thank Michelle Rega Wood and the staff at SPAR for manning those centers. We are providing those services 6 days a week, and we want you to know that they will be open. For those of you who are using our centers, those of you who are out maybe jogging or running, you can always stop by one of these cooling stations, pick up some cold water, and just get cooled. And I know that we have sent things out to our media, and we've sent the addresses of all of the centers that are open. And in addition to those centers that have swimming pools, we have these sites. And it's awfully heartwarming to know that we have people that work for the city of Shreveport that truly care about our citizens. And this is one of the ways that we demonstrate that every day. The U.S. Small Business Administration opened a disaster loan outreach center at Independence Stadium on last Thursday, July 19th, to assist with low-interest disaster loans to non-farm businesses of all sizes, private, nonprofits, homeowners, and renters who suffered losses caused by severe storms, tornadoes, and straight-line winds that occurred April 13th and April 14th of this year. The center will be open from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Mondays through Fridays through August the 2nd, 2018. And so we're asking those citizens and businesses, if you, and homeowners, renters, if you suffered losses during this particular time, you may go by the Independence Stadium through August the 2nd, during the hours 9 to 6 p.m. each day, to try to get some assistance. Last week, we had a wonderful turnout at our job fair at the Municipal Auditorium. well over 1,000 people came out seeking jobs to move from unemployment and underemployment. Before the fair opened, people were lined up all the way out down to Texas Avenue almost. And I want to thank Mrs. Arlena Acre for pulling that event together. We had 19 different agencies and entities, governmental entities, that were part of that job fair, trying to provide opportunities, economic opportunities, and jobs for our citizens and those who live in our communities. We hope to host another one in the next couple of months so that we can, we have companies that are calling now saying that they have positions open, so we want everybody to know that we plan to do another job fair sponsored by our city so that our citizens can have opportunities. Also last week we had HUD officials in town to officially announce the $24.2 million Choice Neighborhood Implementation Grant. Ms. Beth Van Dyne was here to tour the area that would be most impacted by those grant dollars. I want to again thank Ms. Bonnie Moore for leading the effort from the city of Shreveport with all the partners to secure those funds. Last week, as you know, we're very busy. We announced a public-private partnership we have with Cabosa to expand soccer fields at Cargill Park. Cabosa is raising the money for this multi-million-dollar expansion, and the city is providing the land and maintenance. And they've indicated to me that they will be investing about $6.5 million in that new facility. It's not costing us any money in terms of the facility, but it will be having a tremendous economic impact in our city and in our area. We'll have teams coming from all across the Arklatex to take advantage. Soccer is a big sport in this area, and so we're excited about that partnership. We continue to serve our citizens with numerous events since we met last. The city has supported several events, including Red River Balloon Rally and the Hot Air Balloon Championships, July 13th through 15th, at LSUS and various other spots throughout Shreveport and around the region. Red River Road Runners Fun Run, Kirby's, July 12th. Sickle Cell Softball Tournament was held July 13th through 15th at Cargill Sports Complex. Running of the Bulls, Columbia Park, July 14th. SBA Neighborhood Disaster Assistance, Independence Stadium again. And Red River Road Runners Fun Run, Southern Hills, July 19th. Those are some of the various events that we work diligently to help host for the citizens in our area. And those are the announcements, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Tyler. Still kind of shocked of the video that we just saw from the SPD. I think that was some tremendous work from our law enforcement officers, men and women. And I don't know. My hat's off to them. Just let me say that, make it short and brief. My hat goes off to them, putting their life on the line every day.
I appreciate that.
Does any member have any questions concerning or relative to property standards? Mr. Green? Seeing none. Mr. Sweeney? Mr. Sweeney? Have a master plan committee report? No? No. And we all received the budget to actual finance report also, right?
And Mr. Chairman, I am required to ask that if any council member has a question about that report, please refer it to the Audit and Finance Committee.
We'll do so. The public hearing is called to order on Ordinance 59, Annexation. An ordinance to enlarge the limits and the boundaries of the city of Shreveport for the Providence West Subdivision Development in Section 19, Caddo Parish, to otherwise provide in respect thereto. Is there anyone here who wants to speak for or against?
That's Mr. Statlander.
Good afternoon.
He's staff. Okay.
Good afternoon. I'm Malcolm Statlander with the Engineering Department. And Mr. Chairman, members of the council, this ordinance refers to tag number 1803 and concerns a 168.958 acre tract of land in sections 19 and 20, Township 16 North, Range 13 West, Caddo Parish, Louisiana, and is known as the Providence West Development. It's adjacent to the existing city limits of Shreveport, and it lies east of Wallace Lake Road and north of the Southern Loop. The developers plan to subdivide this area into 500 residential lots with approximately 16,000 linear feet of streets, public streets that is. The estimated value of the residential properties will be $400,000 per unit. Installation of all water and sewer lines, storm drains, and public streets will be the responsibility of the developer. Public notice ran on May 22, 2018, and there were no objections formally filed by the public concerning this annexation. Approximately 1/2 of the east side and 1/2 of the south side of the proposed annexation are contiguous to the existing city limits. The city received a petition from Providence Development Company, LLC, the property owner, requesting this annexation.
Again, does anyone here have any questions? Anyone want to speak for or against?
Thank you, sir.
Does anyone want to speak for or against the order? Seeing none. It's closed. Mr. Thompson, is there any legislation to be added today?
Mr. Chairman, we have one item, Resolution 99. I hope you can understand me. It's a resolution to recognize Kenneth Simpson, who will be inducted into the Arklatex Sports Museum of Champions on Saturday, August 4th, 2018. To recognize August 4th, 2018 as Kenneth Simpson Day in Shreveport, and to otherwise provide with respect thereto.
That is not on the agenda.
Okay.
It's on the sheet here, but it's not.
Not on our electronic agenda.
It's not.
Still not.
I think if you refresh.
You refreshed it.
You see here.
I'm refreshing mine. Mine doesn't seem to. At least it doesn't come up under adding items. But, Mr. Chair, may I ask if anybody here from the group or the recipient is here today in chambers?
I don't think so.
And the author is not here either?
The author is absent.
I'm not real clear on what we're voting on here. I didn't hear.
We can wait 2 weeks and it'll be on the next agenda.
Okay.
Well, the induction is this
I
Saturday.
think the issue is the induction is 2 weeks or 10 days to the 4th. And I'm happy to go forward with it. I just want to make sure if somebody was here that we brought them forward. And
It's on the, so if this is in the case for anyone else, my agenda was actually the work session agenda. So try going back a page and then open today's agenda. And it is
Trying to work for IT.
It is on that.
Well, I'm happily, I don't have any reason why not. So I'm happy to, would you mind asking if anybody has any reason for or against adding it to the agenda?
You can.
Okay.
You can.
Is anybody present here that would like to speak for or against adding this particular item to the agenda? Hearing none, I'll be happy to make a motion to add this to the agenda.
Second.
It's been moved by the Vice Chair and seconded by Councilman Bradford to add Resolution 99 to the agenda. Please vote. Motion carries with 6, and the author is absent.
Mr. Chairman, if there is no objection, we will add it to the consent agenda.
Yes.
Mr. Thompson, please continue.
Public comments? I believe, Mr. Chair, there are 2 public comments. If I'm correct where we are on the agenda. These are agenda items. Mr. Delaney, I believe, here to speak on rezoning C32-18. If you would come forward to the microphone, state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes, sir.
First, let me take this opportunity to say good afternoon to everyone assembled here today. My name is Wendell Delaney, 2909 Curtis Lane, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71109. I stand here today, I am the president of Country Club Hills Association, but I stand here today speaking as a resident on behalf of the Renaissance Project. I think it's a great idea. I have a signed petition from neighbors whose property are adjacent to the Country Club. Those are residents who live on Curtis Lane, Country Club, who property backs right up to the Country Club. I live at 2909 Country Club. Curtis Lane. I can walk out of my backyard and walk right onto the golf course. And at the present time, the grass is about 30 feet high. I contacted code enforcement. I contacted property standard. I talked to my city councilman, Jerry Bowman. He and I have talked several times about the golf course. I think it's a great idea. These young men is willing to invest $240 million into this project. And I had soon to see a restaurant and a nice hotel in my backyard rather than rats and raccoons, possum and snakes, and who knows what else. I also talked to John Henry just moments ago. He would not be here today. His flight has been delayed, so he's in Dallas, Texas. But I want to make it perfectly clear, as a citizen, as the president of the association, we support the project wholeheartedly.
Thank you very much. Okay, Ms. Lizzie Scott. And once again, I ask that state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes, ma'am.
Okay.
And pull the mic down. So
okay.
Here we go.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor Tyler and City Council. My name is Lizzie Scott, and my address is 3841 Claiborne Avenue, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71109. I am here today in support of the Renaissance Hill project. I am so elated that the Chariot Company has chosen our community to bring creative, thoughtful, and innovative win-win strategies, designs, and structures that would lead to shared values. In addition, the Chariot Company will create employment opportunities with a long-term professional technology career to include wireless communication, cybersecurity, and other career paths within the technology industry. Furthermore, these new opportunities will motivate our college students to return back to the Shreveport area after their graduation, because our young people are involved in technology. And it will also bring sustainable economic growth to our city. Lastly, some of our other communities in the city have been given the opportunity to be revitalized. This project certainly has the potential not only to restore and make our community vibrant again, but also the entire city and the greater metropolitan area will also be given the opportunity to revive as well. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Mr. Chair, those are all the comments we have for public comments at this stage. I remind everybody to please, if they have comments for the latter part of this meeting, to please get their request to speak in prior to us commencing that part of the agenda. Thank you.
No executive appointments to be considered today. There are no items on the consent agenda for introduction. Mr. Thompson, let's continue with items to be adopted.
We have two items on the consent agenda that can be adopted, Resolution 96 and Resolution 99, which was added.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by the Vice Chair and seconded by Councilman Corbin. If there's no discussion, please vote. Motion carries with 6 and 1 absent.
On resolutions on second reading, we have one item, Resolution number 95. It authorizes the mayor to make application with the United States Department of Justice to seek funding for the Project Safe Neighborhoods Grant.
Been moved by Councilman Everson and seconded by Councilman Bradford. Please vote. That motion carries with 6 and 1 absent.
On the introduction of resolutions, we have resolution number 97 and 98.
So moved.
It's been moved by the Vice Chair and seconded by Councilman Corbin. No discussion, please vote. Motion carries with 6 and 1 absent.
On the introduction of ordinances, we have Ordinance 61, Ordinance 62, Ordinance 63, Ordinance 64, and Ordinance 65.
Is there a motion to introduce these?
So moved.
Been moved by Councilman Everson and seconded by the Vice Chair. If there's no discussion, please vote. That passes with 6 and 1 absent.
On ordinances on second reading and final passage, ordinance number 56, it revises certain provisions of Chapter 25, 26, and 78 of the Code. There is one amendment. The amendment replaces the entire ordinance.
Motion to adopt the amendment.
Second?
Motion to adopt by Councilman Corbin and seconded by Councilman Bradford. Seeing no discussion, please vote. Passes with 6 and 1 absent.
Move as amended, Mr. Chairman.
Moved
Second.
by Councilman Bradford and seconded by the Vice Chair. Move as amended. Please vote. Motion carries with 6 and 1 absent.
Ordinance 57 amends the 2018 budget for the general fund.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Councilman Corbin and seconded by the Vice Chair. Seeing no discussion, please vote. Passes with 6 and 1 absent.
At the work session, there was a discussion about postponing Ordinance 58.
Motion to postpone and defer this to the Riverfront B4 committee. I know we had talked about public safety yesterday, but I think this really falls better under Riverfront B4.
Second. Moved by Councilman Corbin and seconded by the Chair. Please vote.
Just a question, Councilman Corbin. Why would you feel B4 would be appropriate committee?
Because it deals with downtown issues, and that's where we've dealt with parking questions in the past.
Mr. Chairman, also do want to note for the record that this did go before the Public Safety Committee in a prior meeting, so.
Oh, it has been reviewed by public safety?
Yes, sir.
Carries with 6 and 1 absent.
Did you vote? Ordinance 59 was the subject of the public hearing. It's an annexation ordinance. It will enlarge the limits and boundaries of the city for the Providence West subdivision development in Section 19.
So moved.
And second.
Comment.
Councilman Corbin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I mentioned when we introduced this, there is a lot of activity going on in Southeast Shreveport and new developments, and that is usually followed by annexation. I hope that we are doing everything that we can to get our newly formed committee going to create some land banks back in the heart of the city, redevelopment agency. I think that's important, and And I know that group is fairly newly formed, and they're working on getting their setup in place. But as we continue to have people who want to live in the edges of the city, we've got to soon provide some opportunities for people to get some land and develop in the inner city as well.
Mr. Chairman, let me just echo the sentiments of the councilman in that, and yesterday, you remember, we had a citizen that talked about maybe delaying certain projects until we do certain projects. I wanted to say to the council, we deal with a lot of issues here in this body, and just like life, we have minor issues and we have major issues. And I think we don't have the luxury to delay major projects for this city. We don't have that. And I would express that same sentiment when we talk about that project over at the Shreveport Country Club. I mean, we need every opportunity we can to bring positive and wholesome additions and expansions to the city. Because if we don't do it, I think there's some outlying communities that are waiting to accept these type of opportunities. So I don't see, and I don't think, Mr. Corby, correct me if I'm wrong, a whole lot of grass cutting needs at this point.
Right.
Okay. So I would support this wholeheartedly, and I think we, again, I mean, we're talking how many units again? 500 units. That would be in our tax base. Okay. So we look forward to moving forward with this project.
Councilman Epps. Well, and I apologize. I know I had to step out for a second, but so it may have already been said. But I do want to, I certainly represent a district where people, whether they're right or not, feel like this will impact them negatively. And it's a balancing act, I mean, I think that this is probably still worth supporting. But I'm going to say it is a tougher choice for me as somebody who represents an area with a whole lot of houses in this price range for sale right now. And we're going to add 500. Where are 500 more people that need to buy a $400,000 house coming from? I mean, there are a lot of $400,000 houses on the market sitting for months and months and months right now. So it's a tough proposition, but I do see the merits, and and I mean, you're right. If they're not here, they'll be in Keithville or Bossier or Houghton or another community. But I mean, we have got to get some efforts going to get more. I mean, the reason that something like the one at the Shreveport Country Club is a little easier to digest is that it's on land that we already police, we already provide trash services, we already have electrical service out there. We already, it's not new, and so spreading ourselves thin is the entire lesson of what the master plan process taught us 10 years ago, and it feels like we're just forgetting every lesson people sort of talked about back then. But, I mean, it's as long as it's still part of the dialogue, that's why I mention it. I mean, I'm not trying to convince anybody to vote against this. I don't think it's worth voting against this. But I think that we should think about this. This is a tough proposition to keep always building new and ignoring the fact that we don't have any new people. I mean, we've had a stagnant population in this region my whole life. I mean, I hear people talk about this time when Shreveport was, booming population, growing left and right, but that has not been an experience that I've ever been a part of in my lifetime. And so I don't know what that felt like. I mean, all I know is that we've been about the same population my whole life, and we keep building new neighborhoods all the time. And I don't know when it's going to end. Or either if we're going to keep doing it, maybe we need to get rid of some of the old ones. I mean, it's just a conversation we need to keep having, and I only mention it for that fact, is that I don't want it to go unthought of.
Call for the vote.
Please. Please vote. Carries with 6, 1 absent.
Mr. Chairman, ordinance 60 is not to be adopted prior to July the 27th.
Motion to postpone would be in order.
All right, I'll make that motion.
I second.
Thanks, sir. And if you're not going to be able to attend on Friday, please let me know after today's meeting, so make sure we have a quorum. Otherwise, we got to come up. If y'all, I'm assuming everybody can be here, but if not, just let me know. Okay.
So the meeting, Mr. Thompson, even though it was Friday, it does not meet the time requirement.
Correct.
It does not. It has to be 2 weeks.
Motion carries with 6 and 1 absent.
Those are all of the items on the regular agenda.
Is there any type of legislation to be removed?
I'm not aware of any.
Number 17, we have no property standards, no ABO. Are there any other appeals, Mr. Thompson?
There are none.
Are there any reports from officers, boards, and committees?
We'll be having a public safety meeting on the 27th, I think.
Yeah, the 27th.
I don't remember. Yeah, safety meeting, and then August we have.
And then in August will be the property standards.
27th is Friday.
August 13th.
No,
August 13th.
August 3rd.
13th.
13th.
13th. Okay.
And Audit and Finance Committee met yesterday, and we heard information related to our 2017 audit. And auditors from Carr, Riggs, and Ingram will be here at our next meeting to formally present that information to the council.
But I did receive my CAFR, right?
You did.
Okay.
There's a step along the
So,
way where the
apparently-
legislative auditor has to stamp it official.
Okay. Well, I was like,
just take
maybe
a
that's
pause.
what I didn't have in my hand yesterday, but I didn't look at my piles.
Just take a brief pause before you consider it final.
Yeah, I won't
But,
open it up formally since I haven't done so yet. Okay.
Mr. Thompson.
You've already discussed a special meeting on July the 27th. That's all I have.
And one thing, I said 3 o'clock, but it's actually 3:30. My mistake.
That helps.
Madam Mayor, do you have any additional communication?
None, thank you, sir.
Any council member has any additional communication?
Mr. Chairman, I'm just curious. There was another homicide last night. Whose district was that in?
Last night was the council.
It was in my years, Mitchell.
I thought it was yours, to be honest.
It may be right inside mine.
City Grove area?
I think so.
Okay.
Further comments?
Public comment, excuse me, I've got so much material here in front of me, I'm having trouble keeping track. If Mr. Best would come forward, he has comment about Fairgrounds Field. Now, I believe I may owe this gentleman an apology because I meant to pin him an email response. We talked at our last meeting about a question of whether there had been an offer by the parish to acquire it, and no one here seemed to know anything about that. So that was going to be my response to you.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for having me and giving me a chance to speak about this.
Oh, yeah, quickly,
So-
sorry, I didn't mention it. May we have your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
Edward Best, 312 South Wickford Circle, Shreveport, 71115. So, all right, guys. Mayor Tyler, Mr. Crawford, City Council, thank y'all for the time, and it'll be very brief. So, as a lifelong resident of Shreveport, I care about our city, as I'm sure everybody sitting out here in the audience does. I also care what everybody else thinks about our city. And as all of you know, Fairgrounds Field has been an eyesore for, I know of, 10 years. You know, it was bad when the sports and the captains were here the last time, and it's gotten gradually worse. And me, along with the other 2,500 or so people that have signed our online petition on change.org, believe that something needs to be done by the city of Shreveport. We know that the chances of another baseball team coming here are very slim. You know, Councilman Everson, you said it a while ago, we have not grown as a city in, what, 30 years? I mean, our population has stayed stagnant. It's not gotten any better. It's actually gotten worse. We're not going to draw a AA team. We know that, okay? We want something done with it, though. We would like the city council, the mayor's office, for y'all to get together and at least start the dialogue to do something with it. If y'all would be willing to do something with the bat problem. I know I've talked to 4 or 5 of the council members, and the majority of the answer was, what are we going to do about it, is the question I asked. Tear it down. Why does that have to be the first response? Why can't that be the last response, is my question. And that seems to be the question that everybody that I've talked to about this issue over the past few weeks, you know, why does that have to be our first response? Why can't we clean it up as a city? We're going to have to invest money into it to get rid of the bats before it can be torn down, am I correct? They have to be relocated, am I correct? That money is going to have to be used no matter what. Why can't we use the money to clean it up? I know of 400 or 500 people in this community that would be more than willing to spend a Saturday and a Sunday and go out and help clean that place up, do something with it besides letting it sit there and rot. I mean, I grew up as a child watching the captains play in that field. It's not that old. It's 30 years old. We spent, what, close to $4 million on it in 1986 to build that. That was taxpayer money. And it just feels like that money's being wasted by that stadium sitting there doing absolutely nothing. It's not earning any tax dollars by sitting there. It's not doing anything for the city of Shreveport but giving us a black eye with a stadium that's sitting there doing absolutely nothing. You know, the Mudbugs have come in and resurrected the Hirsch Coliseum. I understand that was personal money, but that was with the help of the city of Shreveport and the mayor's office and the city council, and they were able to come in and do that. Why can't we come up with something like that, some kind of solution along those lines? Let some private money come in and do it, but also some public money that can go towards cleaning the place up. At least make it attracted, to somebody to come in and do something with it. That's all we're asking.
Okay. Unfortunately, your time is up, and I know
Yes,
there's
sir.
somebody else here who's going to speak on it as well, but I'm sure I'd be happy to visit with you after the meeting.
Thank you guys very much.
Certainly, if you have any ideas, I'd be very receptive, and I know many of the rest of us would. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Shane Sharkey.
Hi, my name is Shane Sharkey. My address is 1403 Magnolia Ridge, Bossier City, Louisiana, so I can't vote, so that's all good, right? So I just want to thank Mayor Tyler and the City Council for allowing me to speak, and I also want to thank SPAR because we've been doing a lot of investigations since March on Fairgrounds Field and bringing baseball and sports back into the stadium. And SPAR has been really great. Shelley Regal, Russell Delancey, and a young lady named Kirsten, who this girl has had the pleasure of letting us into the stadium over and over again. But I've been working closely with Kelly Wells over at the Shreveport Bossier Sports Commission. Scott Musket with the Mudbugs have been great about as far as giving us advice on how to progress in order to bring sports back into the stadium, because the business model that they used for Hirsch Coliseum can actually be duplicated into Fairgrounds Field. And I've also been working a lot with Bishop Larry Brandon as far as, because my heart's desire is that I want to reintroduce baseball back into the community to where we're going to be able to reach a lot of kids who have been economically locked out of baseball, because baseball provides a lot of guidance and counseling. My son's a baseball player. He plays over at Centenary College. And at times it's been strong Christian men who have been coaching my son that's helped him to develop as a young man, and we see that as a possibility. So we've been working on bringing baseballs. We looked at the stadium and looked at the construction of the stadium and have been able to get a set of plans. And we can put baseball, softball, and we can fit an NCAA regulation-sized soccer field on there, to where we have a lot of local needs that can utilize the stadium. And the stadium doesn't have to be something that can be divisive. It can be something that's going to be used for the betterment of our community. And it's going to be able to utilize based on the impact that we have, reaching kids that we already have. So we've been able to talk to university presidents, athletic directors, been able to talk to college coaches, high school coaches, and also along with tournament baseball owners, and also different people who own baseball training facilities. I'm also have the privilege of knowing some retired Major League Baseball players and people that actually played for the captains in the sports. And they're very excited. And whenever you talk to people about the possibility of bringing baseball back into a fairgrounds field, everybody is excited. And everybody wants to get on board to see it happen. And it's something that we can actually do. I want to share with you a story. 5 years ago, Loyola College Prep and Huntington High School got redistricted together. At that time, when they were playing the game, there wasn't enough team players for Huntington High School, and they had a girl that had to go home early because she didn't live in a safe area. The catcher's mitt broke. At that time, Coach Griffiths with Loyola College Prep said, "Hey guys, bring all the equipment that you have from home. We're going to use this to help this school out." Since then, the two schools have been meeting every year on what they call Huntington Day. And people don't know about this, but Huntington baseball players, seniors, and the coaches have been coaching Huntington baseball team. They now have a varsity team and a JV team. Over 30 kids that are playing baseball now, where it was a program that was going to go pass by the wayside like everybody else. I see that as being able to be used for Fairgrounds Field to reach out and impact and bring this community together for everybody to be able to use it. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, sir.
Yes, sir.
I was really attracted to what you were saying, and you feel, or do you have any others that share your vision of what Fairground Fields could become?
Yes, sir, we do. And I've actually done a lot of work as far as a friend of mine who is a general superintendent for a large facility here who deals with construction. He asked me not to give his name or who he works for, because basically the first time we got in the Fairgrounds Field wasn't exactly legit, but the stadium is structurally sound. I guess all the policemen have left, right? Okay. Yeah. And then I was able to, as far as the back situation, been able to contact a company called United Back Control and had them come in and do an evaluation and assessment, and I have that bid in order to handle the bats. And it's going to be a big investment. It's going to cost over $264,000. But what that does, it's going to treat, as far as the way the structure of the stadium is, being able to seal up all the gaps and everything where the bats, because we have a bat population of tens of thousands. So estimated somewhere around 30,000 bats. But the great thing is they're migratory. So what it's going to be able to do is be able to seal up the stadium to where we're not going to have future problems, and they're going to come back several times to follow up. It's going to take care of the cleanup of the guano and also take care of the, there's a airborne fungus that's in guano that causes a disease called histoplasmosis. So, and that can cause symptoms anywhere from nothing at all to flu to, if you've had multiple surgeries and you have a low immune system, it can cause seizures and several other large major complications and even death. And right now there's kids that are getting into the stadium, they're spray painting the walls and everything like this, kids from the local community, and they're getting exposed to this, and they just don't know, right? So the stadium needs to be sealed up properly. And then also we have a preliminary preliminary phase 1 environmental site assessment with Jones Environmental. I'm just really fortunate to know a lot of people. I always ask, Guy, why did you pick me? Because I'm just some guy that was driving down the interstate complaining, and he just whispered to me to start talking to people. And I've just been really fortunate to know a lot of people that can help out with this situation. And Joe's Environmental, they're in the process of working up that phase 1 environmental so that we can actually go in and determine what the actual costs are going to be for fixing up the stadium, what the operating expenses of the stadium are going to be once we get it up and running and we start having all these games. Guys, we can have that stadium being packed year-round with local sports.
So my question is...
Yes, sir.
You have private investors that's willing to work with you on this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mayor, let me ask you, is this a proposition that we can maybe fashion like we did the Shreveport facility?
Yes, sir. And of course, we are open to, and our staff has been working, with the group to try to make sure that we can nail down something. And we've met with several different groups about Fairground Field. One was East Texas Baptist University. They had a great interest. We had another one that came to us that was a young lady who was doing some project. So we've been meeting on Fairgrounds Field.
Yes, ma'am.
We have not found anybody with the investment dollars, and because that facility was not a part of the capital improvement funds that we haven't been able to do much with it. But we constantly looking for ways to do something with it. But we are open and we are working now legitimately with the group to try to make sure that we can do something with it. And we're open to whatever they'd like to do, and we'll bring that as soon as we can get something nailed down.
Yes, sir. Mr. Bradford, it's just a matter of we really have to determine what the actual cost of renovating the stadium is going to be. It's going to be anywhere from probably $3 to $5 million in order to renovate the stadium. But the impact that it's going to have after that is going to help pay for itself. But I'm firmly, look, I'm a capitalist. I believe in generating a profit, because as long as something's profitable, it's going to last. So so that's part of the process of being able to realizing like what the actual costs are.
Yes.
And my purpose here today is really just to let you know that there are people that are working in the backgrounds to see something happen with the stadium. I'm not a political type person. I'm not a social media type person. I'm just a guy that's trying to get something done, and we've been able to partner up with some really great people who have the same desire and the same heart to see something happen with the stadium. But it's going to take everybody really just having a common goal and a common vision. And I really feel like that vision of youth, high school, and collegiate softball, baseball, and soccer is a proper vision for that stadium.
It is.
And then down the road, if you see an independent team that sees that it's a viable stadium and it's something that they can plug into, we can look at that and see if that's something that we want to add.
Okay. Well, the mayor is engaged, and I think we understand that we have limited public funds to renovate or revitalize that. But if you can put together the investors, I think that would be very attractive to the city.
Thank you.
So,
and I really do appreciate all the effort that SPAR has been giving to help us out. So.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Mr. Sammy Mears.
Sammy Mears, 1901 Centenary Boulevard, M110, Shreveport, 71101, to Mayor Tyler and to Brian Crawford and to the City Council. There have been gunshots fired over and over on Bayard Road, Gordonia Drive, Mitchell Lane, and also Centenary Boulevard this past Saturday at Oak Meadows Apartments. This past Saturday night at 7 p.m., there were gunshots fired 2 times in only 10 seconds apart. Then 5 police cars were called out over there, and even on Stoner Boat Ramp, people were just having a little bit of a fun party with water guns and water balloons, and it got ruined just as well. But I do understand that the people that were causing that kind of trouble were arrested, because Angie Wilhite and Corporal Hines told me about that today. This is so inappropriate and ridiculous and unacceptable. When is this nonsense going to stop? When is it going to end once and for all? People want this stopped immediately. If you can get the sheriff and the police department together to patrol and stop this, it would really be appreciated as soon as possible. Nobody feels safe, not even Jeanette Barnum, the lady out there on Mansfield Road, who said that she wants to leave the city, and she said that she fears for her life every time that she wakes up. She's fed up with it. A lot of people are fed up with it. Other people might even say the same thing, that they want to do the same thing. Now, these people are nothing but a bunch of elementaries who can't seem to walk away or take the matter to court. They have to run get their little tinker toys and start firing gunshots when they can't have their little way. And it's ridiculous. It's true. It just won't work. If you have a problem and you can't solve it, just walk away or take the matter to court. Whatever happened to that situation? Why run and get your tinker toys? I feel the same way about that too. These elementaries need to stop this nonsense right now. This is not a reenactment of the Civil War, and it's not World War I or World War II. We are sick of it, and we're not going to put up with it anymore. We are not going to tolerate it. We want something done. We need to have safety in our home. How can you feel safe in your own home or even in your church with all these little elementaries going around doing that? We want safety and protection. Please help us. Thank you.
Thanks. Mr. Chair, that's all we have for public comments.
If there's nothing else, this meeting is adjourned.